Glad you tuned in today, and I've got this pre-teen voice going on here. I've strained my voice the other day, so I'm just so glad to be here. So you guys are out there, like us, share us, just do what you have to do. I'm here with my friend Adrian and a dear friend of mine, Emily Callahan. Yay.
Hello.
A lot of history here. So the hook for us today is, can God really bless your life as you're just doing your job? I think he did you, Emily.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that's something, as you're out there and you're on our audience today, one of the things that we want to do is just bring you some stories. I mean, it was kind of like the, what was that, Paul Harvey, the rest of the story. Yeah. You know the part of it.
You say that just like him, too.
Do I really?
Especially with the voice.
Honestly, I'm going to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
I really am.
It's a great voice.
So we're doing things different here. We have a guest host today, Adrian Monge. Questions can come in on Facebook Messenger. And I like to say this. Mike Harvey, our producer, knows this. You can get us on Facebook at The Real Lunch Break Show. Also on Instagram at The Real Lunch Break Show. It makes you feel like you're authenticated, the real.
The real lunch break.
Yeah. You know I'm liking that, right, Adrian?
Yeah, I know. The voice.
Yeah. So today our question comes from Kyle Lawson, who was our last episode. And and Kyle was sharing, and you were on with him, Adrian.
Yeah. Great interview.
Yeah, great episode. You and Andrew Castaneda.
Yes.
And Kyle was talking about he had to give up the party life.
Yeah.
Isn't that where he went with that story? That he had to just kind of just back away from it. He knew God was calling him to something more. So our question that came in from our audience out there is, when you start realizing that you need to leave or give something up, how do you do it? Because there again, I think we're all posed with that question a lot during life. Every day, you might have to give something up. I was telling somebody the other day that, losing weight is hard, but not losing weight is also hard. You have to pick your heart. It's like, it's like, I can't believe Adrian rides for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Straight. And he's telling me, Emily, the way he trains is he has a C-train at home and he goes inside of it and shuts the doors.
Oh.
But he doesn't turn on any lights or anything. And I just my mind just kind of spins like, what do you do for 8 hours just riding your bike?
You don't open your eyes when you're in the C-train. You just keep them closed. No point in opening your eyes.
But practicing, it's hard.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. So as we're here there, I'm going to just talk about my job at Sunworld. When I was in the corporate world for 16 years before I came into the ministry, when I knew that it was starting to get time, it was important for me to realize timing. Because I knew I was coming out, but I worked for a large international agribusiness firm. And I knew God was calling me to ministry, but we were in a season of working through bankruptcy. So I just felt at that moment in my life, I needed to stay right where I was to help the company come through bankruptcy and also exonerate myself for any suspicion that I had something to do that was wrong.
Wow.
I was there. So I just thought, hey, I'm going to stay. But once we came through it, I knew it was time to leave. And I had to let go a great job, took a 2/3 salary cut.
Wow.
A lot of people think, was that hard? And it wasn't hard. When I knew God was moving me into something better, I knew that it wasn't going to be a big deal. It wasn't going to be a deal breaker. My wife knew it too. And she supported me in it. So letting go of something was hard, but also grabbing on to something else was what God wanted me to do. So
yeah, and it worked out for you real well.
24 years later, no complaint.
I'll say that my husband has taught me this. You can't have faith and fear at the same time, right? And faith will always overcome fear.
I agree.
Smart man, right? So,
one thing about Emily's husband, EJ Callahan, you can pick up EJ on one of our previous episodes, season 1, but he also joined us again through video on our 50th episode because you guys voted him as one of the episodes you liked the most. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that you guys will vote me as the video that you love the most after seeing this.
That's right.
That's the goal. But I wanted to quickly even just share I'll get to the realizing what you need to give up, but I want to just quickly share, if I can, how Pastor Tom and I met, because I love this story. So
you want me to start, or you want me?
Please, yeah, will you?
Well, Pastor Ron had an idea of starting a campus on the west side of town, and so we just started looking, and so I called Sarah Hendricks. And
Dear friend.
Sarah said, it's not me you need to talk to. You need to talk to Emily Poole. So I remember getting a call from you, and we started our journey.
Yeah.
A lot of paperwork.
And a lot of time.
A lot of questions. Pastor Ron even thought, this isn't going to work, Tom. And I was like, well, let's just wait and see. And I'll never forget the phone call I got from you when you said, I don't know if it's going to work out. And I sat there, and I just remember, it's like it was yesterday, because John McCormick and Shelley McCormick were with me. And so we were meeting at Starbucks down on the corner of Stockdale and Gosford. And so we got up, and we were going to meet with you at 1. So John's like, where are we going? I go, I'm going to go Cal State. So I went out there, and I sat outside your office by the waterfall. And you called, and you go, where you at? I go, look out your window. I'm sitting here. You go, what are you doing there? I go, well, no place else to go.
And I just remember thinking, gosh, this is such a great person with great goals, with great ideas. Of course, I didn't make the ultimate decision, but when the decision came down that, yes, we could have a satellite campus or satellite church on our campus weekly.
Wow.
It was more important to me to support Pastor Tom through the effort, because he had put so much time and effort into it. And so that first Sunday at the satellite church, I came just to support. I thought I hadn't been
with
to church.
With your daughter?
Yeah, with my oldest, who I helped raise from a previous relationship. And I said, I'm going to come support. I'm going to come and just support Pastor Tom. And I remember sitting in the back, and the message really resonated with me. And I was in tears, which is often. You'll see tears probably at some point if you meet me and talk with me. And when they asked if I wanted to learn more about the church, to raise my hand. And I remember just in tears and raising my hand. And so it became more about my re-emergence back in my faith than the relationship with Pastor Tom. And so although I know that the relationship that we built over the years and all that we've been able to accomplish and all that the church has been able to accomplish by having that satellite campus, for me, it meant so much more, because it meant an opportunity for me to re-emerge myself in the church and my faith.
Now, when you look at that story now, if it was a piece of cake for the church to get in, do you think it would have impacted you in that way? Like if it was like, oh yeah, easy, approved, send it back, Tom's there the next Sunday.
I don't think so, because I don't think I would have understood the person that Pastor Tom was. And so if it was just about a contract and just signing papers and just saying, enjoy, here's the keys, and show up on Sunday, I don't think I would have had that same desire to come support Pastor Tom, to make sure that it was successful and it ran successfully for him, and he had someone there if he needed me. And so that's why I went, but it became so much more than that.
It just reminds me, because I sent an encouraging message to you, Tom. This story reminds me of the message I sent you. I sent him a message and I said, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that is a perfect example of that.
Absolutely.
Because that was super hard, but it was good. Real good.
I say this all the time to my students, to people I talk to. Anything that's worth having is hard work.
Yes.
Anything that is worth having. Relationships are hard, but they're worth it. Your walk with the Lord is hard at times, but it's worth it. Your children, don't listen, kids, are hard work, but they're worth it, right?
Oh, no, they know. So my kids are helping out today. They're over there.
Yeah.
And
good kids.
There's Valerie right there. She's building her skills up.
Yay.
Soon. She could easily turn my mic off and camera now. She has lots of power. Got Mike Harvey over there too. So.
Well, it is. Well, I think the thing that I learned, Emily, was the journey that we had. I remember the thing when I was, remember the passes for the cars in the beginning?
Yes, the parking.
Well, we had to have these parking passes, but they only printed me one set, and they said, don't lose them. I'm like, how in the heck can we not lose them? Because we're going to put them on the windshields. So we used to chase people out.
Oh, my goodness.
Give them back our parking pass. So I told Emily, isn't there's any way I can talk to the person in charge? And she goes, well, the person you have to talk to that's in charge is the chief. And I go, well, let's set up a meeting. And she set me up a meeting, and we are old friends.
Oh, my
Relationships.
goodness.
Remember that? And he goes,
Yeah.
oh, you don't need parking passes anymore.
He said, just come through. Wow. That's
I'm
awesome.
still going to charge you, but still come.
Oh, yeah. Well, we still got charged. but
That's
it
great.
was such a neat relationship. That's what I remember
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
was.
important relationship.
Yeah, it was. That was.
And over 10
man.
years ago, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Decade. And the relationships we built and things are the ones that are lasting. You know, as we come through it, we still see some of the staff that would come through. Some of the remember the young love, Matt, and I think her name was Vanessa.
Yes.
They met there.
And then Mark and
Yes, Mark and Krista,
Yep.
yeah.
And
You
my
guys are
husband and I.
matchmaking, huh?
Yes.
It was a funny thing because when the people would come out to work the student services, they would just somehow fall in love and
God was in the building.
Yes.
Oh, my
Right? It
goodness.
wasn't just a college anymore. It was
You guys
God
were
was in the building.
matchmaking.
And matchmaking.
It was
Yeah.
just, it was.
That's awesome.
But that's just the amazing person you were. So it was.
That is good. So we still have our question that Kyle asked. And it really, the first thing I thought about in that question is, I used to be a landscaper actually in 2003, and I had a company. And the first thing God told me was that he loved me, had to forgive my father, and then he told me, shut down your business. It took me 3 years.
Those are hard things to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me 3 years to build my business up, and my wife was pregnant. And I remember him saying, you have to stop doing this if you want to do what I have planned. And so I told my wife, I was like, I'm closing the business down. Oh, man, she was so mad. So mad because I had really worked hard on it, and she had too. She was there the whole time. But I closed it down, ended up working a job with special needs clients for minimum wage. But from that point on, I got to where I was working at Memorial Hospital, being a program director. But I'll never forget that day, giving that up, going, I built this, I worked hard, but if God doesn't build the house, you build in vain. And I was like, I built that whole thing for nothing. But it was okay because God told me to give it up.
You built it up to give it up.
Yeah.
But I think when things are important to you like that, those are the things that you put a higher value on God, what he wants from us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to listen, right?
Oh, you have to listen.
You got to listen. So I think for me, and I know Pastor Tom and I have talked about this a few times, my husband and I were working together and developed a relationship. We knew we were best friends. We were really close friends and were colleagues and friends and kind of went to each other about all kinds of different personal and professional things and realized that there was a little bit more than just
you
a
guys
friendship.
Went to church at Cal State together.
There you go, and fell in love. And we found that we had interests together. We liked the same things. We were committed to the same things. And so I knew that working with him wouldn't be conducive to our future. And so I did. I realized that I had to give up my job at the time.
She did.
And I took another job on campus.
Confused me.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? I met EJ, loved EJ, and Emily went, and I was like, okay, just on.
And I took the job for 6 months, and we both reported to our boss at the time, our vice president, and it wasn't the best fit for me. And EJ had a conversation with him, and he said, well, come back and she can lead another area. And so I was asked to return into that role, doing something a little bit different. And our relationship blossomed. And I think shortly thereafter we were engaged and showed Pastor Tom the ring.
Oh,
And
I couldn't have been more shocked. I came into her office one day. She sat there and she showed me, her engagement ring. I'm so glad. EJ walked in. He kind of slipped over, I go, you too? And I go,
oh my goodness.
And she told me that's why I had to leave. And I was like, yes.
I don't know why I didn't provide you guys a picture of Pastor Tom doing a selfie, because we also asked Pastor Tom to officiate our marriage.
Wow.
And
Yeah, it was
he's
a
been a
pleasure.
real central part of our whole journey.
I've got to say, that is the first time I've seen that work out. where somebody leaves their job because, they're having a relationship and then it works out, they get married. That had to be God.
Yes.
I mean,
Of
for it to
course.
work out that way.
Did it
Of
for the
course
right
was.
reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's scary. I mean,
And
to
the
give
right
it all
way.
up for that,
Yeah.
for a relationship. I mean,
For love, and
For
I
love.
think I know I had to write notes. I'm a teacher also. I work at CSUB, so I had to write notes. But, in 1 Corinthians where it talks about faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. And I know it means the love that we have with the Lord, but it means with everybody, right? Our relationship and how we love everyone. Love is really important to me. And it was to my husband also. And so we were able to share that love
awesome.
together. Yeah.
Did you guys run some of the pictures up?
that's a powerful story right there.
I had just found out I was pregnant in that picture. I'm not feeling the best, but it's a good picture. Oh, that's our wedding
It
day.
is.
Yeah.
He looked handsome and you look beautiful.
Thank you.
It
It
was-
was a magical day.
It was.
And we didn't really want a big to do, but we also knew we wanted to celebrate with our family and our friends. And so that was important to us.
That's
So
good.
we had a great day. Yeah.
That is
remember.
good balance.
I like that. So, as we want to always bring up on our show, we have a someone that we're working with, and it's called Lucky's Animal Rescue. And so today we have Happy.
Oh.
Yeah, Happy's
Ooh,
up
wow.
there, and
Happy is up for adoption?
yes, he is.
Oh, goodness. I wonder if EJ's watching this.
Oh, EJ, we may have.
The cute little
Oh,
dog.
he
That is
is.
so great.
Yeah, he is, and he's got some mix in him, and a lot of times we'll get some mature dogs from Lucky's to show on our present on our show, and we'll say that they're good with dogs and people, and most of them aren't cat tested, are they, Michael? Mike Harvey, I don't know why. Mike and I are going to go out there and do a location shoot, and we're going to test. We're going to cat test some of these dogs.
Oh,
Yeah, at some
man.
point.
But,
We're working on it.
but we think we're going to take a teddy bear of a cat and test the dogs.
Yeah.
Make sure
Well,
you
I keep saying we
watch
could
it.
take your cat, Tom.
Yeah, my wife probably
Oh.
would be upset if you're watching Rocky.
Oh, my goodness. There's horses out there,
Yeah, there
too,
are.
because he's rescued horses. I've seen
Wow.
ponies out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he really has a passion for rescuing the animals.
Yes, they
because
do.
I've seen him out there for
Yeah,
years.
yeah, that's one of John and Meredith's big passions. They're out 3J Ranch. So if you're looking for a dog or a cat, and maybe you're in the market for a horse, I don't know. So we want to thank John and Meredith, but we always bring up Lucky's Rescue.
All right. Are you ready, Emily? This is the most important question of the whole entire show right here.
This is Adrian's moment.
No pressure. No pressure.
Okay.
But what is something that nobody knows about you?
Oh, goodness.
That
nobody.
would
That
be-
wasn't part
All
of it.
right, okay.
Nobody knows
just,
about me.
Maybe just the circle here, but what would be something that most people don't know about you?
Well,
Only the Lord.
only the Lord. I will say this, and I spoke earlier at a class at CSUB, and I was telling my story. I was telling my background and how I came in education. And the professor, who I've known for years and I've taught with, said, I didn't know all that about you. And so I think I'm going to take a couple minutes and share just a little bit of my background. Growing up in East Bakersfield,
Come on.
which my husband says I lived in the Upper East Side because I went to Highland and he went to East, the real East Side.
And EJ played on basketball.
He
team,
did. He
too.
the state champs his year, 1994. But
Wow.
I was not a college-bound person. I just
Really?
no. And so I think my circle would know that, but most people would not know that about me. I wasn't college-bound. I didn't have interest in education at the time. I didn't find passion, but I started working at a juvenile hall. It was a second offender program, a rehabilitation program for students who had been locked up in juvenile hall twice, and we were trying to get them rehabilitated back into mainstream high school. I started working at that school at 18. I was young
Wow.
and tried to act mature. And I started taking classes at BC. I coupled with my job and then my interest, my newfound interest in education through a course, a psychology class at BC, really gave me the motivation to continue. And so I think sometimes people look at you and they see you in a role and they think it was an easy journey.
Oh, it's all that you've ever done.
Yeah.
Ever.
Like it was easy,
Yeah.
it was simple, and I made it. It took me 8 years to finish my undergraduate degree. It took me 4 years to finish my master's. And it wasn't easy. And there were many times when I wanted to give up and many times that I wanted to throw in the towel. But my perseverance and resilience and just continuing to move forward is what where I am here today.
Yeah, so something happened in the juvenile hall for you to commit to 12 years of education.
What it was, Adrian, is I realized that they needed someone to believe in them.
Wow.
They needed to...
People need that. They do.
They were around so many people who had written them off, who had said, you made a mistake, you committed a crime, you won't really amount to anything. And that was not what I believed. I believed in the power of second chances and third chances. That's what the church stands for.
Oh,
This
right.
church stands for.
But Jesus said how many times, was it Peter who said how many times am I supposed to forgive, right?
Yeah.
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 Jesus says,
Well,
not
and
7
I
times.
believed in that. And so now in my role, I feel like it's full circle. I'm where I'm supposed to be right now because I'm able to help. I'm able to provide students with the hope that they might have made a mistake, but it's not over. That what their mistake doesn't define their future. And so, I think
it's not without
great.
applying some discipline at some times.
Absolutely. You have to work hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a little better than Mike Maggard's blindness, color blindness. But yeah,
Come on,
wow,
Mike.
that's great. That's great.
I
Nobody's
love that.
going to ever top that one, I don't think. That's awesome.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
Well, Emily, you started talking about your life. One of the things I think was kind of supernatural was God added a daughter to you.
Yes, he did. And, this is, there she is. This is one
Eliana.
of Eliana Faith Callahan.
Tell them what the name means.
Eliana means God has answered. And so one of the things as EJ and I started our relationship and our marriage, we knew we were older. We were a little bit older. And so he has 3 kids from his previous marriage who are beautiful,
Great kids.
wonderful kids, 23, 20, 17-year-old. Here we are. There's all of us.
Wow.
Great family.
And when we talked about wanting kids, I knew I wanted kids, but I just didn't know if that was possible. So we said, whatever God's plan is, we'll be open to. And so when Eliana was, when I found out I was pregnant and we found out it was a girl, all of our kids are E's. So EJ, Emily, and then the kids, Elizabeth, Elijah, Eden, and then Eliana. So we had to come up with an E name. And I saw Eliana on a shirt and EJ said, what does it mean? We were driving in the car and I looked up good old Google and it said, God has answered. And we looked at each other. That's it.
Wow.
So her name means God has answered. Her middle name's Faith. When we were our first ultrasound, we couldn't hear the heartbeat. And
I remember that.
we got in the back room and the doctor did the ultrasound. He said, look, she's praying. And we didn't know it was a girl at the time, so the doctor spilled it. But her hands were in a prayer form.
Wow.
And all of the kids have a J middle name, but we went out on a limb with this one. And
You
so
have to.
we had
Why
to.
not?
So her middle name's Faith.
That's
And
awesome.
her name came into play, though, didn't it, Emily?
Faith and Eliana after she was born. Is that where you're going?
Yes.
Pastor Tom leads into good stories. But absolutely, it's one of those God moments. And I know, Pastor Ron and Pastor Tom talk about those God moments all the time. And she absolutely, one of those God moments, she was born 7 weeks early. She was spent 6 weeks in the NICU. Very trying time. Pastor Tom came, I think, on day 2. I don't even think we had been there 24 hours.
You hadn't slept at all.
No. And Pastor Tom came and prayed over her, which means so much to us. And we're just so, see, I told you if you met me, I would cry a little bit, just a little tear.
Right.
But I remember just saying and begging God, please just give me an answer. Please, please. I need something. I had been there weeks and probably hadn't slept much, but Mercy Me, a Christian band who I just love so much. Their song,
awesome.
their song, Best News Ever. The minute I'm driving home and I said, God, I need something. I need something. You have to give me something. And I know we say we can't always ask for something, but I need it. Yeah. And the song came on within seconds. And I'd never heard the song before, or it never resonated with me. And it's become our theme song.
Wow.
So
Isn't that neat? Sometimes you'll get those theme songs or that emphasis on your life when you're going through a trial and God comes through.
Absolutely.
I love those moments. Yeah. When we had talked about it and Emily had said, Eliana means, God is with us, and faith, I go, then we're good.
Yeah. He gave me that confidence. You did. Yeah.
It was just like, hey, God's got his hand in this.
Mm-hmm. And it's a reminder too that, like, for me, my kids' names are very important.
Yes.
Like, one time we couldn't even leave the hospital because we didn't have a name yet because I was begging God, like, give me a name. I need a name. But their names really do fit them. Like, as you watch, like, my daughter's name, Melanie, she loves singing. Valerie is full of valor. I mean, she did 10-foot double jumps when she was 9 years old. She put grown men to shame at that age. But it's just like the name means so much. So that's awesome. I love that story. It reminds me of my kids. So that's good.
And you feel such a responsibility, right? You are naming somebody who is going to have this name for the rest of their life. And so why did you choose it? And I feel very happy with the choice that we made.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I always tell people, and I don't know if I've had a chance to tell you, but my daughter Tessa is engaged.
No, oh, yes, I do know that.
Okay.
I've seen it on Facebook.
Everybody knows now, Tessa.
And
Congrats, Tessa.
It's just funny because I always tell people I never had boys, but pretty sure I get to.
Yeah.
And Danny is just a wonderful man, and we prayed for him ever since she was born, and it's just like you guys have. You just do. That's the responsibility of parents, and just out there. If you're out there and you're praying, and maybe you've lost connection with your kids, God isn't controlled by distance. He's not controlled by geography or anything like that. I see God be very responsive to parents' prayers.
Big time. Big time.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And so as we walk down here, one of the things that I always knew about is that you were an athlete in school.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
By default, I played softball a little bit, but my sister was a cheerleader and I hung out with all her friends. So, yeah, I guess I would say by default.
and you made your way to Mike Maggard's Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Yes, Mike opened his doors, his home for all of these students. And at the time, for me, it was a really cool place to go to hang out with some of the athletes, some of my sister's friends. And what I realized was it was an introduction to God that through the social activity. And I grew up in Lutheran church and Catholic church, and I hadn't experienced that. And so the social aspect of it, it was really kind of a foundation for me. And Mike provided that. Not too many people would open their home to so many people, so many young kids.
Yeah. Tell me about it. He
Weekly.
said there was like hundreds of kids, and like
All
they
the
would
time.
pack his house, and his wife would cook snacks. He was telling me, I was like, and I seen his house. I was like, in this house? He's all, yeah.
We would be sitting on the couch or the armrest, on the floor. We were everywhere, and they were just so welcoming and wonderful. And that was my first introduction to Mike.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, Mike's awesome. He introduced me to Ron Vietti. I went to a men's retreat one time, and I had known him for like 2 years. And Mike goes, I just talked to Ron, and I told him, you're part of our tribe. And he went and introduced me to Ron. I was like Mike, you're so cool, man. Everybody knows you. You introduce people to everybody, but it's good. It is good. Mike is awesome.
Good person.
It is. Emily, we got pictures of your mom, I think, right there with you guys. And I think you have a story with your sister, right?
I
Oh,
do.
yeah, there's the picture right there.
Oh, my mom is just the most amazing. My mom watches our daughter multiple times a week, and their relationship is so special. I just love the bond that they have. You can see, I didn't provide it, but there's another picture of the two of them where they're just looking at each other and in love. But it's so beautiful. Prompt me, Pastor Tom, to the sister story.
You guys were pregnant at the same time.
Oh, well, we did. So my sister and I grew up we were different. And I shared with you guys my background. I wasn't really college bound, but my sister was a straight A student, really involved. And so we didn't have a lot of common interests growing up. We kind of went different paths. She went straight to college. I dabbled, took me a long time. But one thing is, as we became adults and she moved back to Bakersfield, she works for the Wonderful Company and is an attorney for the Wonderful. Yeah. Attorney for Wonderful Company. She and we got engaged within 5 months of each other.
Wow.
We got married within 2 months of each other. She called me and told me she was pregnant. And 5 days later, I called her and told her I was pregnant. And so we were due 4 days apart, although my daughter came 7 weeks early and her son came 2 weeks early. So they're exactly 1 month apart.
Wow.
We live now in the same neighborhood and our kids, and we get to spend so much time together. And my mom and dad live a mile away.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I couldn't be more happy with my place in life right now, and I'm very blessed.
As I've always been amazed at how God works people's lives out and stuff. You hear the stories like that, and I always tell people, it's not over till it's over.
Absolutely.
Not over till it's over.
Definitely.
Wait, be resilient, have faith.
Yes.
Yeah, stay humble.
Anything that you would like to share that maybe we haven't got to, Emily?
Well, one thing when we talked about, or when you had me kind of think about my story and kind of life, one thing I wanted to say that resonated tonight with the students that I wanted to share was, I'd applied 8 times for a job at CSUB before I even got an interview. 8 times. And had I given up or lost hope or lost my confidence, I would not have been in the place I am today. I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't have met my husband.
Wow.
Those jobs weren't right for me. And so I think for those people who feel like it's not working out for them, or they're not sure what to do, or the job that they're applying for, they're not getting, it's because it's not the right job.
Yeah.
And the right one will come.
You're out there, you got to listen to this.
God will answer. And I believe everything happens for a reason. And I think it's really hard to sit back and say, I spent 6 weeks in the hospital for a reason. Yeah. And when you think about it, it was to help others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. It was tough and it was trying and it was the hardest time of my life. But I've helped countless moms who their children are in the NICU or have gone through the NICU. And I feel lucky that I get that opportunity. So we don't know it when we're in it. No. We don't understand why when we're in it, but there's reasons. Yeah. And
God won't waste anything that's difficult in your life. Everything that happens that's difficult in your life, God will use it. You won't let it go to waste.
I think about it, and I remember that night as we were there, and I shared with you 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3 and 4, where it says, God will comfort you in all your afflictions so you can comfort others with the comfort you were comforted with. But when you're talking about it and you're facing it, it's hard to grab it. But once you look backwards and you can apply yourself to somebody else, then it brings a little more sense into your story, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It makes sense. Like you said, it brings sense to your story. And then you can help others, which I believe is our lot in life, is to help others.
Well, I know this, that you and EJ have done that, because I don't think, and I've always shared that with you, and I've always bragged on you and your husband. I don't think I've met a person that I don't share. Oh, I know EJ or Emily. They go, oh my gosh, they're just the best. They do, you know. And I do know that you guys are business, because I've seen that end of both of you. And but people have that general, they know that you're compassionate and caring, but you also have jobs to perform.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm just happy I got through this whole podcast without tears coming down my face. So
I tried my best not to pull them out, because I know it's
Adrian,
not fun.
I appreciate you.
No. Emily, I just want to.
Yeah, thank you for being on the air.
Love having you.
Great story, and I know lots of people are going to be touched by what you shared today.
I hope so.
No, it will be, Emily. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in. If you know somebody this will help, make sure you share it with them. Take care. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.